Today's flight is one that I am very excited to try. Having experienced Qatar Airways on board the Airbus A380, now I'm trying the airline for real as I fly on board the Airbus A380 from Doha Hamad International Airport to London Heathrow. Are Qatar Airways everything they're cracked up to be on a long-haul flight? Let's find out together. Welcome to Lake Edgington Airborne. Let's get going.
As the saying goes, first impressions count, and upon arrival at Hamad International Airport, I was blown away by the stunning terminal building with its undulating roof designed to represent the ocean waves and sand dunes associated with Qatar. But as well as looking great, the check-in hall is well laid out with plenty of staff on hand to assist passengers, and before I knew it, I was off to see what was on offer in departures. After clearing security and queuing for footage of a giant postcard, I found myself overlooking the main duty-free plaza, and again I have to comment on the design of this terminal. Unlike many airports that lean towards brightly lit and white terminals, the heavy use of steel and wood here means that the terminal has a much darker appearance, but as you can probably tell, I'm a big fan. The focal point of the duty-free plaza is a 23-foot lamp bear, which I'm sure has some sort of purpose other than a photo opportunity. And as well as the bear, you can even find dinosaurs as you stroll around the airport. Now, as you'd expect from a modern airport, there is of course lots of choice for passengers who enjoy shopping before departure, with many of the world's major brands represented in the terminal, and for avgeeks like me, the Qatar Airways store is a must visit. Food and drink can be found throughout the terminal building as well as in the rather busy food court, and for passengers with children, you can avoid the crowds in the relaxing family areas. Personally though, I spent most of my time just admiring the views.
So that's a quick look around Doha's Hamad International Airport, and it is certainly a very impressive terminal. But my time here is up, it's time to head on board the A380 and make my way to London.
You've got their attention. And yours, lovely people on board. This is for you.
I always find it amazing that for an aircraft the size of the A380, takeoff is usually so smooth and uneventful. For me, there's nothing quite like it, and the relaxing departure meant that I could really appreciate the spectacular views outside. Qatar Airways operate 10 of these gigantic aircraft at time of filming, but like many airlines, there are plans to retire the A380 and focus on twin-engine long-haul jets like the 787 and A350. I highly recommend that if possible you too experience the A380 while it's still flying, and if you do get to try it for yourself, here's what you can expect on board. Things got off to a good start, and much like on my A320 flight with Qatar Airways the previous day, the excellent crew began by handing out refreshing towels, which is always appreciated in economy. Menu cards are provided, and maybe I'm easily amused, but the fact that Qatar Airways have spelt the word cuisine with a Q did make me smile. There were 3 choices for breakfast on this early morning flight, and feeling quite hungry, I chose the scrambled eggs with chicken sausage, and this was also served with a croissant, fresh fruit and a white peach yoghurt. All of the food was delicious, but it was the little details that really impressed me, particularly the use of metal cutlery, which also featured the airline's logo. Now, hydration is key on any flight, and the cabin crew regularly passed through the cabin with refreshments, which was great because I simply couldn't get enough of the mango juice, and passengers, if they needed to, could also help themselves to further drinks in the galleys. With breakfast out of the way, let me show you around the awesome A380, which for Qatar Airways has 517 seats in total. Here on the main deck there are 405 economy class seats, and upstairs you'll find a further 56 economy, 48 business and 8 first class seats, and believe me, it was very difficult not to run up those stairs whenever I was at the front or rear of the aircraft. This was a very quiet flight, which really makes you appreciate the size of the A380, particularly on the lower deck, and I also appreciated the fact that both individual reading lights and cool air vents are fitted in the overhead panel. The overhead lockers are huge, and even on a full flight you shouldn't have any issues storing cabin baggage, and the cabin itself overall was really nicely designed with a modern finish. There are even images of Doha on the walls, as well as these beautiful Arabian oryx, which is the national animal of Qatar and part of the airline's logo. For an aircraft that can carry over 500 passengers, there are of course plenty of lavatories to use, and much like the rest of the cabin, they were smartly finished and were kept very clean throughout the flight by the crew. Now, of course, when flying long haul on any aircraft, the seat is the most important part, particularly here in economy where space can be at a premium. So what can you expect if you travel on board the A380 with Qatar Airways? Standard seat selection was included with the cost of my ticket for this flight, and as you've seen, I chose to sit near the back of the aircraft on the lower deck. Upstairs, additional storage is available if you choose a window seat, but apart from that, no matter where you sit, the experience is by and large the same. Of course, as always, we'll start things off at the top of the seat, and here's where you'll find the touchscreen entertainment system, which we'll look at in some detail soon. There are a few controls at the bottom for the cabin crew call bell, as well as the reading lights and volume. Power is provided via a USB port underneath the screen and a nicely placed easy access universal power outlet too. Some storage is provided behind the tray table, but like on many modern aircraft, it's not fully enclosed, so I wouldn't put anything too valuable in here. When folded in half, the tray table can be used for a drink, or when fully opened, as well as more space for your drink, there is some adjustment available, and more than enough room is here for the in-flight meal service. As we look further down the seat, I was very impressed by the little pouches on the front of the seat pocket, which are perfectly sized for a mobile phone, and more storage can be found in the literature pocket behind. Most importantly, the legroom on this flight was excellent, and I was very comfortable throughout my journey to London. Now, I assume for purely aesthetic purposes, Qatar Airways has chosen to fit different colour seats in the economy class cabin, all of which are fitted with adjustable headrests. I think the seat is very attractive, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about the economy class seat in the comment section. Let me know if you've flown with Qatar Airways. So, we've established that the seat is comfortable, and to pass the time on a long flight, Qatar Airways enhanced the experience further with the impressive Oryx One entertainment system. This really is a beautiful system to use. The high definition screen is clear and very responsive, and the content is very easy to find. As you might expect, for the very long flights that Qatar Airways operate, there's a huge range of content to enjoy, which includes the latest movies, not only from Hollywood but also around the rest of the world, and I spent a couple of hours watching the excellent Joker. Qatar Airways also offer multiple episodes of popular TV shows and an impressive music selection to relax to as you watch the world pass by below. Children, of course, aren't forgotten either, and can access age-appropriate content to keep them entertained on board, and big kids like me will appreciate the short programs about the airline. As there's so much to choose from on Oryx One, it was very helpful that a search function is provided, although sadly my favourite channel wasn't available. Thankfully, the tail camera more than made up for my slight disappointment. As this was a daytime flight, I was eager to share how much fun I was having with my friends and family on the ground. I actually did pay for the ultimate plan, which offers 200 megabytes of data for $20. This meant that I could keep my wonderful followers up to date on the trip via social media, and you can keep up to date with all of my travels via Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. And of course, be sure to subscribe right here on YouTube so that you never miss a future video. As we made our way over a very cold looking Europe, it was time for the final service from the crew before landing. Economy class passengers were offered a light snack, which in this case was a warm pastry and a lemon sponge cake. Much like the earlier breakfast, the snack was delicious and more than adequate for a flight of this length. And of course there was time for one last drink before we began our descent towards London.
Seatbelt signs have been switched on. We'll be on the ground in a few minutes. Make sure to stick around till the end of the video for my final thoughts, but for now, enjoy the views. Now, before taking this trip and getting on board the aircraft, the A380, I'll admit I was a little bit nervous. The reason for that is I had incredibly high expectations for this flight. As I'm sure you're aware, Qatar Airways are one of the highest regarded airlines in the world and regular winners of World's Best Airline. So I actually went into the flight thinking surely it can't be that good. It was. I'm sure you've guessed in the video, I was absolutely amazed by my entire experience from start to finish of Qatar Airways, and this is where I'll share with you some of my final thoughts. Starting off at Doha's Hamad International Airport. First of all, as I've already said in the video, this is a beautiful terminal building. It's absolutely spectacular. I was a big fan of the design and everything in the airport worked really well. It seemed to flow very well. There's plenty to see and do. Big fan of it. But the highlight of the experience in the airport were the ground staff. I have never experienced any ground staff that was so friendly and helpful as I did on this trip. Whenever I interacted with anybody, be it at check-in or security, they used my name. They checked my boarding card and referred to me by name. That's something generally you might expect in business or first class, but not in economy. When I went to check in my bags, the check-in agent himself was incredibly friendly. I explained the reason for my trip. He was asking how long I'd been in Qatar for, and then he offered me a seat upstairs up on the upper deck of the A380, but he did also suggest that if I wanted to do some filming, I might want to stay downstairs because it was a very quiet area towards the back of the aircraft. He really was working with me to find the best experience myself. It was amazing, and again that continued throughout the whole airport experience. It was phenomenal. Then the aircraft. Well, I'm a massive fan of the A380. It is my favourite aircraft because for me there's nothing like it in the world to fly on, particularly in economy as a passenger. It's so spacious, it's so quiet. it's just an amazing experience. You get off the aircraft feeling nice and fresh, and Qatar Airways have done a great job with the cabin in economy class. As you'd have seen, the seat was very comfortable, it had a great headrest, plenty of legroom. There was a fantastic in-flight entertainment system. No, it's probably not quite got the content that Emirates has got, but in all honesty, as big of a fan as I am of the Emirates ICE entertainment system, I did prefer the interface on this one. I thought it was really nicely done, very attractive. And then we speak about staff and the cabin crew on board the aircraft in particular. They were incredible. They were the best cabin crew I've ever had on a flight. Now, I don't want to take anything away from them, but maybe it's because the flight was so quiet, they were so attentive. I hope not, and I genuinely believe they're probably just as good on a full flight, but they were constantly in the cabin, constantly speaking to passengers, including myself. Honestly, I had to say no to a couple of drinks runs. I was visiting the toilet so frequently because every few minutes there was a member of cabin crew offering us drinks on a tray. And then the meal service itself as well. The meal was very, very good. For economy class, you don't expect anything too memorable. It's not going to be Michelin star, but it was tasty. There was plenty of food there for you. This whole flight was just incredible. I don't want to go on and on about it too long. But in all honesty, if you've not had the chance to fly with Qatar Airways and you're looking to do it, I highly recommend it. Are they my favourite airline? Probably not quite. I still have a big soft spot for Emirates because of previous experiences. But are they better than Emirates? Probably yes, in my opinion, at least on this experience, but I definitely have to try Qatar Airways again in future, perhaps on the 787 or the A350, to really give them a thorough test again, see if this flight was just a one-off, but I doubt it. Thank you for sticking with me till the end of this video today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and of course, if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you never miss a future upload. I also look forward to reading all of your comments in the comment section below, and do give me a like if you can too. As always though, most of all, take care.